Welcome to Tiger Wolf. I'm Josh, and this is David.
Please be aware, this podcast contains strong language and spoilers. So today, we're only going to be discussing one comic on Pagedom, and that is House of X, issue 1. Hickman is definitely one of those writers that makes you question everything you're looking at. All right, so first thing first question I have is in the first actual set of paneled parts of this comic. Why does this assumptive Charles Xavier look like the evil Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe? Why are there clones or whatever of the X-Men growing out of Krakoa? Or is this like some sort of like...
Is that what you think they are, as clones and not modified versions of them?
Or is this like he somehow time traveled back to when they were captured by Krakoa?
Is this the same like timeline as some of the other shit we were recently talking about? Where was Charles during all that? And then he just shows up doing this?
Yeah. Hence the, wait a minute. Like, could this... My immediate response when I saw the Charles Xavier, and that's under the assumption that it is Charles because of literally the only thing that's said in these 2 pages is, "To me, my X-Men."
Well, not only that, but they refer to him as Professor Xavier.
Yeah, later on they refer to him as Professor Xavier. He's got an X over his face. You can't see the rest of his face. You can only see his nose and his mouth.
I feel like that's probably new Cerebro or whatever, and he might be melded to it.
He's also walking.
Is he? Because the way they draw him makes me... Because the way they draw him makes me feel more like he's floating.
Maybe.
Look at the scene in the treat area.
Weird. Right there, it does look like he's floating. So, I mean, maybe.
The way he's standing here, it looks like he's floating.
Yeah, he's doing the Magneto thing. I don't know, it just... Something about it bothers me. Something about that doesn't feel right. He looks like the Maker. But if he is... I mean, he could be
Isn't
Charles.
Logan, like, gone still in the main timeline or something?
No, he finally came back.
Okay.
And
why is everybody in there?
Why are they all in different era costumes? Yeah, it's another question.
I think I have a pretty clear idea of what's going on here. And if it's what I think it is, I don't like it.
What do you think it is?
I think it's Charles Xavier Jr. trying to be Legion.
I think it's Charles Xavier Jr. trying to be his father.
No, I think he's trying to be Legion because of the things Legion has done. He's trying to be his father in the same way Legion tries to be his father. Is what I mean.
Okay, yeah. Like, Wolverine is in his brown and gold outfit.
Jean is in
her classic Marvel Girl outfit. Cyclops is in the leader of the X-Men outfit that he wore just prior to going too far off the deep end and becoming basically a mutant terrorist.
Magneto's in his White Knight outfit.
Is in his white outfit, which he wore when he was working with Cyclops during that time frame. When Magneto actually looked at Cyclops and went, "Scott, you're sounding like me." But they go through, and it does 5 months ago. Krakoa. Okay, Krakoa is a big thing throughout this entire thing, and it shows Colossus plucking one of the flowers, and then 4 months ago, Storm is planting one of those flowers in Westchester. Westchester is the original home of the Charles Xavier School of Gifted Individuals. 3 months ago, under the assumption that that's Bobby, planting
it's either that or it's the Silver Surfer.
Yeah, the Silver Surfer.
Which wouldn't make as much sense. Yeah.
Planting one of the flowers on the blue area of the moon, which is also a significant spot to the X-Men because that's where the trial of the Phoenix happened by the Shi'ar Empire. Next one is 2 months ago on Mars. That one I can't think of right offhand.
Mars?
Yeah. But it has armor planting the flower. 1 month ago, Beast is doing studies on a flower in the Savage Lands. Savage Lands is a pretty important thing to the X-Men. They've been there so many times.
Xavier?
Yeah.
Ex-Nito?
And then
Ex-Nito!
And then 3 weeks ago, we have Kitty and her pet dragon in Washington, D.C. 2 weeks ago, the Stepher Cuckoos planting flowers in Jerusalem.
I mean, this is basically a setup for some traveling they do a little later in the book here.
Yeah. Jerusalem also kind of has a bit of symbolism dealing with Magneto because he was in the Jewish concentration camps during World War II. Which is also the one where he is during the course of this book. He is at the habitat that forms in Jerusalem. It goes through with a couple of ambassadors showing up to speak to Magneto because Charles Xavier said, hey, look, I have these flowers. Now, what these flowers can do for humanity, one of them will increase a human's lifespan by 5 years. Another cures
Seems like a weird number to
mental issues, Alzheimer's, dementia, all of it.
That's pretty good. That'll also increase somebody's life by 5 years.
And the other one is a universal super drug antibiotic for humans. Charles Xavier is offering humanity or these drugs to any government that acknowledges Krakoa as a mutant nation.
I feel like there's still an issue there with it being offered to the government.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
That's a pretty sweet deal.
Just to acknowledge them as a nation?
Yeah, just to acknowledge them as a nation.
Yeah, it is a pretty sweet deal. We didn't even know this island existed. Sure, you can call it a nation.
You're giving us drugs?
You're giving us drugs that can cure any mental illness?
We're on board.
The 5-year thing seems kind of lackluster, to be honest.
I think that's for, like, if you notice, they didn't have one that cured cancer. But in theory, the 5-year drug could give you 5 more years even if you had the cancer. Which means
well, so
more
there's
time
the
with your
thing.
family.
What does that even actually mean? It gives you 5, like, you know what I mean?
I mean,
is that 5 good years? Is that 5 shitty years? Is it?
Are you just immortal for those 5 years?
Right. You have 5 years of immortality, and then you continue your life as normal? Can you take the drug multiple times? Like,
what happened? Can you overdose?
Yes. The answer is going to be yes to that because anything that's going to change your physiology enough to add 5 years to your life in any way is going to do damage if taken too much.
Yeah, more than likely.
Unless it's got self-limiting factors
to it. And then they've got, little snippets throughout the book where they're kind of an information drop that I know is going to be important later. Like a map of Krakoa.
Yeah.
I did notice that there is a outline of a like submerged area or the no place area of Krakoa. And the no place area is basically this non-naturally occurring flower produces a habitat that exists outside of the collective consciousness of Krakoa, a place within the island's ecosystem that Krakoa doesn't know exists.
Collective consciousness? So is this like a...
It's a sentient island.
So it's like the Savage Lands.
It's like the Savage Lands, but not the Savage Lands. But on the map of Krakoa, they have, House of X, House of M. Or more than likely, Xavier, Magnus, or Magneto. The Arbor Magna, probably where they grow their food. An arboretum, basically. The arena, not exactly sure why you would need an arena, unless, you're using that spot to actually train the mutants to use their powers. Basically, Krakoa's danger room. I'm gonna butcher this one. Akidamos habitat.
Academos.
So
probably
maybe where they teach the younger students, where they live and learn.
It might be a habitat for an animal or a creature called Academos or something.
Maybe. Transit. I'm going to assume that's basically a hub of the gateways around the world. The Oracle, the Grove, the Cradle, which I believe the Cradle is probably where we saw earlier with them coming out of pods.
There was a lot of other pods there too.
The Reservoir, the Wild Hunt, and the Carousel.
The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and Carousel.
And there's an intermittent bit of the story following this group of humans that have built a space station near the sun with a giant sentinel.
I think near is kind of subjective.
And they're assumptively part of the Orcus group, which I find the makeup kind of interesting. 31% from
He doesn't mean what they look like.
24% from Shield, 16% from Strike, 8% from Sword, 7% from Alpha Flight, 5% from Hammer, which hasn't been around for a very long time, 5% from Armor, and 4% from Hydra.
Even Hydra's part of this?
Mm-hmm.
Like everything there is all the people who have fought Hydra.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it jumps to Mystique and Sabretooth and Toad stealing information from a database from damage control.
So, given what happens next, do you think they're part of the Krakoa stuff? Because I feel like they're not.
So there's an interesting bit that happens during that part. So those three try to escape. Johnny Storm and the Thing are like, yeah, nah, it's not happening. Sabretooth's like, I got this. Get out of here. To Mystique and Toad. So they go to run to one of the gateways to go to Krakoa. And Mystique and Toad make it through. Sabretooth gets stopped by the Invisible Woman. She puts him in a box.
Okay, so they are from Krakoa, but
Cyclops walks through. Congratulates Ben Grimm on being on his wedding. Asks Sue how the kids are doing. And then looks at Reed and is like, "Look, I'll take Sabretooth off your hands. He's a mutant affairs." And Reed's like, no, he broke our laws." And Cyclops is like, "You're a smart man, Dr. Richards. I know you know what amnesty means." And Reed's basically like, "Yeah, I'm not giving him up, Scott." And Cyclops is like, "Fair enough. I can see you feel strongly about this. Why don't you keep him? We'll deal with it some other time, some other way." Cyclops literally just threatened the Fantastic Four. In a very polite way, but he did. And then proceeds to rub a little bit of salt in the wound with the insult by telling Sue to tell her son when he's ready, his real family is waiting for him on Krakoa.
it's because he's a mutant.
Because he's a mutant. He is one of the most powerful mutants in the Marvel multiverse. I do think it's interesting that they bring up Omega level designation in this, and they have a list of some of the Omega level designated mutants.
Yeah, can I see that?
And only one on that list is affiliated to humanity.
Well, I mean, to be fair, a couple are unknown and none. Jamie Braddock, alias is Monarch, reality manipulation / quantum. None. Legions is unknown. His Omega power is literally just power manifestation.
That's because he can just be like,
whatever the
personality.
Fuck.
What do you have?
Absalon, Mercatary, Mr. M. Matter manipulations unknown, and there's a lot of Krakoas on here. Iceman. Oh, I didn't know he was Omega level.
He can drop the temperature.
He can drop the temperature of Earth, can he?
Yes. He can affect the water molecules.
Never even heard of that guy. Marvel Girl. It says Marvel Girl.
Yeah, not Jean Grey.
Well, it says Jean Grey as her name, but it says Marvel Girl as her alias.
Well, I mean, she basically broke up with the Phoenix.
Eric Magneto.
Eric Lensher. Do they use Eric Lensher or do they use Eric Magnus?
Ooh. Kevin McTaggart.
Mm-hmm. Moira's son. Who's supposed to be dead.
Is Krakoa.
Who's supposed to be dead.
Storm.
Well, she's practically a god.
Weather manipulation. Quentin Queer. Kid Omega. He's an Omega level telepath?
At some point in the future, he's supposed to become a host for the Phoenix.
Well, if he's an Omega level telepath, that makes sense because Jean's...
That was Jean's thing.
Gabriel Summers.
Vulcan.
I don't know who that is.
The eldest brother of Scott.
Is power manipulation.
The eldest son of the Summers kids. It's Gabriel, Havoc, Scott. Gabriel's the one who was part of Deadly Genesis.
He came back.
Yeah.
And he's on Krakoa's team.
Yeah.
Well, no wonder Scott's talking all that mad shit. His brother's back. He's like, my older brother's going to kick your butt.
Cyclops not a pushover by any stretch.
No. But I believe Gabriel's the strongest of the three.
Yeah, Gabriel is vastly more powerful.
And his adopted daughter is on this list.
You know who's not on that list?
Xavier.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I noticed that because we had 2 telepathy. And neither of them was... It says Xavier Files, too.
Mm-hmm. But there is no Charles...
He is a mega level, right?
Yeah. Charles is an omega level telepath.
Interesting. I would say it's assumed, but Magneto's on here too.
Unless they downgraded him to an alpha level.
But even if you go by that, we still don't have Xavier Jr. on the list either.
Nope. He's not mentioned at all.
Oh, did we just give away what we thought was going on? Or did we say that earlier?
We said that earlier.
Okay. I couldn't remember if that was when we were recording or when we were talking about what we were going to record.
Nope. No, we said it earlier. That's what we opened with.
Okay. You going to go into what's going on with the ambassadors now?
Yep. Unless you'd like to.
I mean, I didn't read it.
It's right in front of you, though.
I didn't read any of what they said. I just looked at the pretty pictures.
That's fair. So, come to find out, after having a tour by Magneto, these ambassadors...
I mean, come to find out, I feel like he probably already knew.
Yeah, I think he did. They're all actually plants. They're not really the ambassador for whatever government they're claiming to be from.
Not plants like the portal plants.
No, plants is in
fakes.
Yeah, fakes. There we go.
The big fat phonies.
One of them is actually the head of the state science office from China. One is he actually is an ambassador, but he bought that status through his pharmaceutical company. One is actually a Red Sky senior operator. One is a former member of Strike. I don't remember what that stands for. It's an offshoot of S.H.I.E.L.D. and sword and armor and...
tank, rocket, if kinetic energy.
I think Strike took the place of Stake, but I don't remember what the translation difference is. And then...
translation differences, not only vampires.
Well, I mean, Stake dealt with vampires, werewolves, the whole branch of things. And then the last one is he's former S.H.I.E.L.D., former Sword, but he also has a current affiliation that he won't let her figure out.
So she doesn't know?
Which means he's
but the whole deal was that she knew.
Which means he's probably related to Orcus. More than likely.
They're probably all related to Orcus.
And, one of the cuckoos also mentions he also has a firearm on him that Magneto promptly disassembles.
I mean, it's only done it 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to use it. It was just for my protection.
And that's the automatic response everyone gives Magneto whenever he rips apart their firearm.
From their pocket.
From the holster. And Magneto's response is, of course, that's how it always starts.
But he's not just referring to his encounters, but just humanity.
Humanity as a whole.
Like, we don't have these swords to harm you unless you're trying to harm us.
The swords are there to make sure you don't harm us. They're a deterrent. Same thing with currently nuclear weapons.
Well, no, it's more like we arrived with these swords not because we intend to cause harm, but in case you do.
Yeah. And Magneto pretty much is like, all right, all of you, go back to whoever is pulling your chains and tell them that you have new gods.
I mean, he says it more eloquently than that.
Yeah. He also specifically chose Jerusalem because humanity loves their symbolism. Yada, yada, yada.
I mean, that's...
He's not wrong. Humanity loves their symbolism.
Yeah, but...
But so does Magneto.
Yeah. He just blames it on the humans. But, you know, you were human for a while before you realized you weren't.
Yeah.
Actually, not that long. So he was pretty young.
He was 10?
He was older than that.
10 or 11, I think, when it happened. When
I thought
it
he was
first
in his
started.
teens.
No. His cropped up early. Now, we had a bit of annoying fun playing with the cipher that's throughout this book.
It wasn't annoying. It was just fun. So we figured out most of the alphabet. We're pretty sure.
Yeah.
And there's 2 pages, and this is the big spoiler if you want to figure this out on your own. Probably go ahead and leave us now. But there's 2 messages at the end of the book. We have figured out our it says next in the circle.
Yeah.
And then
The chunk of stuff below that,
we're pretty sure says it's not a dream if it's real.
which, for me, immediately brings up Age of X and Age of X-Man.
And then the other page, which is for the next houses.
Yeah, houses.
Houses of X. This is one I thought was pretty interesting. It seems that where they're using for Y, they're using the old school Y, which is the TH sound. Which would give us then in the circle, and then the curious case of Moira with, I believe, the signature of Xavier or whatever, maybe
Denotation.
Charles Xavier Jr.
The person who is claiming to be Professor Xavier. Be that actually Charles Xavier Jr., or maybe Legion. I think Legion's the least likely of those 3.
I don't know. Like, that helmet thing he's wearing could very well be something that's keeping him together.
Yeah.
Like, that's something
Charles
has been working on and off with to try to help him with.
And Mora.
And that mysterious dude.
Yeah. So, it's a potential. Now, the dream one might also be a reference to Charles Xavier's dream of coexistence between mutants and humans.
And in that case, also Magneto's dream of subjugating them.
Of superior. I don't think Magneto ever really wanted to subjugate humanity. He just wanted them to understand their place is over there, not over here.
No, he believes mutants are superior and should be ruling.
Yeah. Yeah. But there are just so many questions. Like, why are they in different era costumes? Why? Because normally Charles Xavier doesn't cover his face. He's normally like, hey, it's me. So why is he covering his face now unless he's actually not Charles?
Well, because Cerebro requires the eyes.
And do these miracle drugs have any side effects the mutants haven't told humanity about? It's just, I mean, yeah, I know. It's only the first issue out of 6, setting up...
Not just 6, because this is working in line
with Powers.
Because that's specifically what it's saying is next, is the issue of Powers.
Yeah, the way it's...
First issue of Powers?
Yes, first issue of Powers.
And then it's saying after that, then is the next issue of House of X.
So, the thing about Powers, according to Hickman, it's not actually pronounced Powers of X, it's pronounced Powers of 10. But this is House of X.
Which that title does lead me down the path of thinking Legion has something to do with this, given Age of X and Island of X?
Age of X-Man.
Huh?
No, the Island of X was part of Age of X. Like, everything Legion deals with has X at the end of it. Everything. That's probably because, it's actually an Xavier, but, that's not the point. I think that's a specific group of individuals they picked for the primary cover. They picked them very specifically, I feel. And that's assumptively
because
Charles.
All of the story beats they have in here are these characters.
Wolverine is in 2 panels. But
smiling.
Yeah, smiling and playing with kids. But yeah, I'm going to keep reading it because it's definitely... I'm interested. I want to know more. And this 6-issue miniseries and then the Power of 10 6-issue miniseries is what's setting the bar, keynotes for Hickman's actual X-Men run, which is starting after this.
It's interesting. I'm interested. You should be too.
Well, I suppose that's the end of the episode.
Please like, comment, follow, and share. And also, more importantly, thank you for listening.
Take care.
Bye.